I really hope people dig this movie. I think that there is a ton of heart behind this movie.
Stop searching, start watching. Get curated movie and TV picks at flickspicker.com.
He's somebody who, I think before we come back to him, has really been trying to address the things that he wants in his life. I think he feels a little bit lonely. I think he wants to have a kind of human connection, maybe romantic relationship. And also, despite the fact that his brother sort of holds against him, that he hasn't reached out to him, I think he's been kind of keeping tabs on his brother. And he's just more comfortable sort of putting his brother in that relationship in a place where he sort of knows it's there. But their different ways of approaching relationship have left his brother feeling like hurt and neglected and kind of ignored. And it isn't because Christian doesn't love him and care about him. He does very much. In fact, I think he really uses this opportunity of this events of this movie to reconnect with his brother because he wants to. He just doesn't have a reason. The central core of this movie is about them reconnecting and forging like a relationship that actually is going to sustain now until the next movie. I mean, Brax is wholly unencumbered by any sense of, what's legal or right or wrong. I mean, he really is a more, in terms of his work, he is sort of, I think, assumes as an assassin. Now, I don't know any real assassins, but I have to kind of assume that if there are such people, they, or at least in the case of Braxton, the way I reconcile the fact that I think he's fundamentally a good person who cares about his brother and a character that, one likes watching the movie, he just assumes that, and knows, in fact, like the people that he's hired to kill, he's really just the instrument of one bad guy killing another one, and here's some mob boss, mafia guy, Russian gangster, and he comforts himself with the idea that they're all bad people, and he's just doing a job. And I think all of us ultimately kind of struggle and try to assign some kind of order or sense of reason to our lives and choices we make, and and there's also this sort of very classic appeal of the kind of hot-headed devil may care, whatever you want to say, character who's also quite roguish and likable. And I think what Jon Bernthal does in this movie is play that character in a way that's as good as anyone has done it. He's really wonderful and powerful and interesting to watch. You like the guy, and you find yourself kind of trying to square how it is you like him so much, and also knowing that he's like guy who kills people for a living. I really credit Jon. He's fabulous. I love the guy. I love being around him. He's wonderful. I knew him somewhat and already really liked him and kind of came away loving him and loving every minute. And he's so talented and so smart and so invests himself. It was a joy to work with him every day. And I remember shooting that, and I remember we fell into a very natural rhythm that we seem able to just fall into. Honestly, the guy's just great. I'm able to respond and connect to him. I also think that because I find him so appealing and engaging and interesting and warm and cool and smart and funny, you see that. That's genuine. We get along. And I think that's why maybe you can't fake it. Chemistry is a hard thing to conjure up. Whether it's romantic relationships or any kind of relationship like family or best friends, those are all the kinds of relationships that, they get forged over time. You're just used to being in that person's company. You kind of almost develop a sort of rhythm or an energy around them. And to fall into that and make it believable is very hard because it's like I said, it's a hard thing to fake. And I think I just credit the fact that I just find him so spectacular. It put me at ease. I don't think I would have been able to do it in the same way with another actor. Cynthia's is a terrific actress. I mean, and I really love the character that she's created. I love watching her, and I love, again, being in the movie with her. I think she's just interesting, compelling, real. She doesn't seem to know how to fake it. If she's gonna do it, it's gonna be authentic. And that, from the point of view of an actor, that's who you want in the scene with. They're gonna make you better. They're gonna ground you. They're gonna improve your own performance. And I benefited from stuff that I did with her because she really carried a lot of those scenes. And she is really, a very pivotal protagonist in this movie. I think she's great. And I think she strikes me as a real person, not a person in a movie. And that's a very difficult thing to do. And I'm again, a huge fan. And I really like everybody involved in this. And I hope I get to keep doing these movies, maybe not without such long intervals even between them, because it's like old home week. I just really love everybody who did this. It was a joy going to work. And if you're lucky that you get to not only have this opportunity to do this work, but it's joyful and it's fun, and the people you work with make you better and are wonderful people, and that was the case with this. I mean, I don't have a pre-formulated way where I hope audiences respond, other than when something is humorous, I hope they laugh. But what that laughter is, I think, is an indicator that it's touched them, that really humor to me is kind of the highest form of intelligence in a lot of ways, which I thought Christian should be funny. And some of the people who inspired this character to me were very funny people. And I want to bring that sense of humor in particular to life in the first one, and then much more so in this one. And I understood it better. I think like if someone makes us laugh, that we know we like them, kind of. It's a way of connecting with one another, which sort of says like we share the same view of things and we find the same things ironic or absurd or incongruous or whatever it is. But it's like the reason you smile when you hear a joke is because it kind of lights a very particular kind of spark in us that I really think sort of connects us. Like there's no humor really on your own. It has to be engendered by someone else or oftentimes experienced in groups. Like it makes laughter more powerful. And one of the really fun things about seeing this movie with an audience was hearing the laughter.
Exploring brotherhood is something that is in all of Gavin's films, and he does it very well. I think that these guys grew up in an incredibly complicated way, and this film, although is sort of a Trojan horse for all kinds of sort of traumatic kids being raised in traumatic situations, it's a Trojan horse for folks that are growing up on the spectrum and what that does and how that is, for the entire family. And it's sort of again delivered in this Trojan horse of being an action film. And there was no shortcuts taken in this second film. It was not, hey, we can do sort of an easier version, just get it out there. It was really, it was a deeper dive into the relationship. It was a deeper dive into the wound that took place in this family. And that's something I'm all on board for. And I've always thought with Brax, especially, he's as equally complicated a person as his brother is. And I was enormously grateful and happy that they decided to dive into his character this way. And it's been a lot of fun. The way these guys work, the way Gavin works and the way Bill works, and like I said, I know them both, they are not people who, there's nothing sloppy about them. There's nothing, they do not take the easy way out. Bill has an encyclopedic knowledge of these characters. These people are all coming from his life, from his world and his heart and his head. I've gotten to know Bill pretty well over the years, and Gavin works the exact same way. He's methodical. He doesn't leave any stone unturned. There's nothing that just sort of is thrown away. We went over this script so many times to try to find any sort of inconsistencies, any sort of things that just brought up questions, any sort of mysteries, and then we dove in with everything we could to solve those mysteries. And so many of, I often think, so many times when you locate the problems in a script, or you locate the problem, the thing that you just can't quite buy, or the thing you can't just quite wrap your head or your heart around when you're playing a role, if you just focus on that one thing, once you figure that out, it opens up so many rivers of opportunity for the rest of the project, and that's really what we did. And truthfully, with Brax, he's lived his entire adult life, the majority of his life, looking only at he like so many of us are. They live in response to their main wound, the main wound of their life, and the main wound of Brax's life is his brother sort of rejecting him and losing contact with him. That was his one person. Honestly, I think for Brax, when he sees how committed Chris is, his brother, to Ray and to figuring this thing out, I think he's hurt by it. I think he doesn't understand it. If you're so committed to this guy, how come you haven't been committed to me? And there's a real protective narcissism, I think, that he has, and he's sort of unable to see anything outside of that until he does. And again, that's sort of where these characters evolve, and that's where there's these characters that have such a sort of colorful and rich history together. They grow, and they grow on screen, they grow on camera, where in the first film, they really weren't together at all. They were just sort of these mysterious people who were sort of orbiting around each other, and then at the end they came into just into conflict, and then there was this promise of, hey, we're going to get together, and they never did. And I think we saw the betrayal, we saw the last part of the wound, and now we're starting to see these people coming together and starting to heal. It's great to be with Ben. It's just great, and I think we were able to bond on this one. Last time we didn't spend that much time with each other, but we really did on this, and we really got close, and he and I just had sort of an ease and a rapport right from the jump, both on screen and off, and I'm really grateful for it. I admire him so much. The thing about Ben is he's not only this sort of icon and this brilliant actor, he's an enormously intelligent, vulnerable, sensitive, kind person. And look, he's the guy here. He's the big boss too, and he's a brilliant filmmaker, to boot. And I've been blown away with his ability to sort of temper himself and let everybody kind of do their thing, and him just sort of settle into the role of being the lead actor, not the studio head, And it's been really, but also at times to sort of step in and say, hey, this is what sort of needs to be done here. I think he's done it with elegance, and I think he's done it with grace, and I have enormous respect for him. Look, I hope people dig it. I really hope people dig this movie. I think that there is a ton of heart behind this movie. I think there's a ton of heart. I think it came from love. I think, again, there's no shortcuts on this film. I think that it's a sequel, but it's also a standalone film. I think that there's so much love, again, for these characters and for this family at the core of the film. Every part of the process, every part of the journey along the way was kind of made from that. So yeah, there will be unbelievable action. There will be heart-wrenching scenes and heart-wrenching stakes. And we will get behind the mission of the film. The sort of puzzle-like quality of the first film, trying to figure it out, I think it's there to a certain extent, but this one is so much more down and dirty. It's so much more about the emotions and the connections and what these characters want. But I think you'll see that. I think that's the biggest takeaway. I think you're going to see the story is so much more about it. There's just so much more heart in this version. I think people are going to dig it.